Somewhere in here. I'm sure you can hear me, but you can't see me until now. Hello. Welcome back to Blackmore News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you. I'm just starting it right off. We're going to get into it. I know everybody likes to be fashionably late, but because, it's that kind of crowd, and that's okay. People are going to get here when they get here. Malcolm is here. All right, good sound and picture. That's good to know. Yeah, I got a handle on the VPN thing somewhat. Or at least I'm not caught flat-footed with my VPN on and my picture going bad. We're live on Odyssey, Substack, and on YouTube. What was it? What else was I going to say? I don't know. Had something to say. I'm not really sure. Yeah. We're just trying to keep up with what's happening. I guess we'll jump into Malcolm. Since you're here, we'll jump into silver, which is the funniest thing was I read your comment after silver tanked. Malcolm left a comment, I don't know, a day or 2 days before silver just completely got wiped out. Not wiped out, but which is, I'm carefully following everybody's advice, or taking all opinions in. I mean, I think it was common opinion and also common sense, so that there was going to be that it couldn't keep going up the way it was going without a pullback. There's also institutional investors that I'm sure have shorts on, which is one of the ways they control the price. For the longest time was to keep shorting it, keep suppressing the price. But yes, and then this may go along with, who knows when the paper market will die. Is it going to die, this week, or is it going to die in 2027? I don't know. Pick your poison. Yeah. I mean, the good thing is it's a chance for people who felt like it was a runaway train to buy some silver. If you're looking that way. It's about 80. Went down to 80 today, but down from a high of 120. So doing rough math, it lost a third of its value. That's a lot. The banks did that, yeah. Yeah, well, I did see a good post about the contracts coming due in March, which, you know, it lines up. Contracts coming due in March, and who knows, you know, where these positions are at. You know, there's, I'm sure a lot of positions got liquidated on the way up, but people are probably looking to cover all the way down to, you know, I don't know, 50, 40. Is it going to go that low? Is it going to go lower than that? You know, I hate it for the people who are holding, but for me, I want to see 40 again. If I see 40 again, I'm gonna sell, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna sell something, a leg, and go out and buy a big bundle at 40. Probably. But we'll see. Because I kind of missed that entire train up to 120, and that was making me feel some kind of way. Oh, let me see if I can find this. I forget where this lady's at. I think she's on Instagram, but like I said, told you guys, Instagram is being real funny with me. They will not let me play a video that I send a link from on my computer, right? So Salt Lakers always putting Instagram videos in the Telegram. If I press on Salt Lakers video, it comes up as the video that he posted. It opens up in my browser. If I post a video and I open it up, it comes up as a different video in my browser. I'm like, man, that is, I don't know what's going on there, but that is some serious, you know, high level algorithmic voodoo going on. I don't know what's happening with that, but like, they will not allow me personally to open up a link I send to myself on my own browser on my computer. It's wild. But if I open up somebody else's link, sure, it's fine. And they've been doing it every time. I cannot open a link from Instagram in my browser, which makes me think that they put some kind of something on my stuff. They're like, don't, this guy no. It's really wild. But let's see if I can open up a link from Instagram here. I'm gonna check it out. Who are they though? We know who they is. We know who they is. Oh, can I find it? Well, somebody had a good post about the shorting and why. The shorting and why. Where is it? Did I like it? I did like it. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to listen to it yet. I don't want to listen to it yet. I'm going to see if I can send it to... Well, it'll open up on my phone as the same link, but if I send it to my computer, they will just not. It will open up as something else, but let's see. Pardon me. Yep, go ahead. JP Morgan to prevent massive losses. Selling gold in the high to cause the silver to dip. Well, sure. Let's see. Will it work this time? Nope. It's another video, but that's okay. We're going to find it anyways. It's just the most uncanny thing. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. I actually just have to go to somebody's I have to go to their profile and then pick the video out. That's the only way I'm going to be able to see it. Okay, here we go. I got it. So here's a little something on this. Yes, please share it. Please do. We will watch this and we will check this out. Hold on one second. Where's the
Dick, you're not paying attention. Gold and silver just got nuked harder than crypto, and it was planned months ago. Look, 10 trillion in metals wiped out in 24 hours. This isn't a crash. It's a coordinated liquidation designed to protect the banks, not the market. Why? Because they don't have the metal. They have the contracts. And those contracts come due in March. Every $1 silver moves up equals billions in liabilities they cannot pay. Look, here's what they're hiding. They sold paper silver they never owned, just IOUs, no vaults, no backing, and now hundreds of millions in COMEX contracts are about to expire.
Okay, so that's just the short of it. That's the short of it. No pun intended. There's also what's I'm blanking on the term, but when you sell a contract that isn't real, like a ghost contract, I mean, that happens all the time. Sell a contract that's not actually backed by a contract. It's just like a fake contract. I just yeah, I am going to wait creative. And also I have to wait because I don't have anything to buy any silver with right this second. But I am saying though, if it does go down to like 40, I will do I'll do something zany in order to buy a bunch. We'll see. Do you think it'll go back down to 20? That's what I want to know, because I feel like it was at 15 or 20 for a really long time, and I feel like probably most of those things got liquidated, most of those positions, but are there positions they're trying to cover at 20? Will it go down that far? That would be kind of wild. It would be absolutely insane that the silver price lost, 80 or 90% over a month. That would be super insane. But hey, anything can happen. How did y'all spend your Friday strike day? Did anybody join in any reindeer games? Did you all go protest? Did you all just hang out at home? Did you all get into any communist chat groups? Anything like that? Are you Malcolm? I have a question. I have a question. Did you, and if you don't have to answer it, if you don't want to, did you unload any when it was sky high, or are you just holding everything diamond hands for the the end times? All right, so that's about all we're going to do on silver. The other just major news that happened kind of over the weekend was the Epstein files being released, and people losing their minds over what was contained in there, which appropriately there was some pretty disgusting revelations, and also revelations about the current sitting president, and revelations about all kinds of CEOs of major corporations, people who are top of the food chain, or maybe not tippy top, but high up on the food chain of like wealthy, powerful, and influential people, being deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and also deeply involved with horrific acts is all I can say. Like horrific acts from peddling to unaliving. Like I don't know. I'm trying to be creative about how I'm wording this, but just really crazy stuff. Craventine says, no wonder why we don't get health care and why Americans are suffering so much and why there are I don't know what that means. We're ruled by some pretty horrible people. I mean, here's the thing. And I saw somebody posted on Facebook. The good news is that the conspiracy theorists was right. The bad news is that the conspiracy theorists were right, and they were. And I think most thinking people already knew what was going on, and I'm sure there were a lot of people who didn't want to know, or didn't want to believe it, or didn't want to accept the truth that the people in the high echelons of power are some of the most horrific, depraved, lunatic psychopaths you could ever not want to meet. And now we know that they are. So I hope it's clear now that it's not even just about what's being revealed. And I feel like for me personally, I'm like, duh, like I feel like for a lot of people they're like, yeah, we already knew that. We already knew all the stuff they were involved in. We had a lot of evidence, and not new like as in it's a conspiracy theory and I heard it on YouTube from so and so, from Bopty Boo's YouTube. No, I mean there was lots of evidence already for a long time. There was evidence out there. If you wanted to look at it, there's plenty of evidence. Hell, that's why they went hard on Pizzagate. That's why they went so hard on that, because there was evidence for it. The emails that were released by WikiLeaks were filled with evidence of all that kind of stuff that's being released in the Epstein file. There was evidence all over those files, all over those emails about what they were doing. And that's why they went so hard on trying to say, if you're talking about this, you are crazy. But everybody who actually had half a brain and could just read the emails would go like, oh, yeah, that does sound pretty weird. That's pretty weird. The implications of this are pretty gross. So all of that was real. I mean, all of that was absolutely real. And then you have like QAnon, coming in and kind of swooping into that whole narrative to try and make it seem like, well, this, there are good guys and bad guys, and guess what? Trump and his team or the people around him are the good guys, right? They swoop that whole narrative to push a faction of people onto the American public as good. Also pretty despicable, but true. And Epstein is in the files being involved with the QAnon project. He is involved with I'll just say it again, and I've been meaning to do a post on this on my other channels, but Epstein is literally Hitler's heir to the throne, right? If the Nazis didn't lose, they actually won. The Nazis were absorbed by Zionist, by American intelligence, by all these agencies that, right? We imported all Operation Paperclip. We imported all the Nazis. Well, you're pretty smart, and we kind of like what you're doing over there. Come on over and work for our team. We absorbed their ideology, and so did the Zionists, and so did the British ruling class. The people were doing this stuff before then, but so literally, the Zionists / Jeffrey Epstein took Hitler's agenda and just kept going. So Epstein is literally like the heir to the throne of he's the heir, he's the Antichrist, he's the Fourth Reich leader, perpetrator, facilitator, I don't know. And he's literally has his hands in almost everything that's happening today. Almost everything, including Bitcoin, including crypto, right? He was emailing and very deeply involved with the teams that were developing crypto when they were developing Bitcoin before Bitcoin was released. Epstein was in there. Epstein was in with it is breathtakingly vast how much influence he has over what is happening right now. And if and I'm sure it were not, he was a facilitator, so maybe these weren't all his policies, but he was the connector. He was the glue between all of the tippy top, evil Moloch worshiping evildoers, the Illuminati, the whatever you want to call them. He was the conduit. He was the connector between the super, insane evil people and all the people that could get it done, facilitate getting this whole like web that we're seeing being built around us. He was the person that did it. So he has got to be, in my mind, one of the most evil entities that ever existed, if he's actually dead, which I don't believe he's actually dead. He's probably still out there lurking around, laughing maniacally and doing his maniacal things. Epstein and the Rothschilds helped Hitler when Hitler was poor and homeless, according to Epstein files. Sounds like Hitler was an asset and limited to hang out. Yeah. It was also alleged that Hitler's mother was a servant girl who worked at Donald. Yep. Yep. Fantoma says, time to reopen the files on James. Oh, right. And his IG was filled with crazy photos of. Yes. Yep. You're right. You're absolutely right, Fantomas. Absolutely. All of that was absolutely real. Absolutely true. Those emails were real. And that whole rabbit hole was absolutely real and true. And they did a really good job of smearing people and taking down people's channels who were talking about it. But they were spot on. What the people that were doing the investigation and doing the talking about it were absolutely correct. So, but people don't want to believe this is reality. And so it's easier to convince people that, no, that's crazy. And then they can go on with their day like, no, there really aren't those. The people in charge really aren't that horrible. It's just easier to exist that way. Because if you know the reality of it, then you might have a little more difficult time being, getting up every day and involving yourself in the machine and actually believing in what you're doing, or believing that you are, part of a good machine, part of a good group of people doing good things, trying to help people. Nope. That's not what it is. Epstein was just a middleman. I mean, he was so dang effective, man. And he literally had one of the most evil souls, who knows? On some level, you can't even quantify the level of evil that these people engage in, right? I mean, it's not, I suppose it's ridiculous to think like one person is more evil than others. But he is right at the epicenter of everything that is horrible or questionable going on right now. Les Wexner funded him. Yeah, sure. David Icke could be a plant too, but what he's been saying is making a lot more sense. It appears that our elites could literally be in some sort of cult. Well, yeah, they are. Definitely. I believe that they are. I like David Icke. I don't think he's I'm not necessarily sold on all of his ideas, but he's banned from going to several countries, which makes me believe that, he's probably not part of some whole operation. I mean, he can't even go to Australia, I think, and some other country. They won't even let him come show his face or open his mouth and speak. So let's look at this. He has been consistent. He has. Noam Chomsky giving Epstein advice on how to outlast the allegations, the PEDO allegations against him. I guess he didn't want JE to admit that he had manufactured the consent of little girls. Positively despicable. Noam Chomsky was his friend, ally, and buddy, which should make you, you know, I'm not mad at I'm not mad at Noam Chomsky's ideas, right? Like I feel like some of the ideas he's talked about conceptually are real, but like knowing that he was involved in all of this definitely puts a stain on his, it obliterates his legacy. He was horrible during the pandemic, but his whole like the most of the lefty rhetoric in the way, how he described what was going on, a lot like Chris Hedges. They were somewhat aligned in the way that they looked at the political landscape, and I think that that's how he gained a lot of prominence and how he gained a lot of listeners. Is I think he was saying real and true things, and that's not hard to do. But he is. I don't know how you even look at him and not think what an absolute piece of garbage that dude is. Well, what's interesting about David Icke? And David Icke, this relates to Russell Brand too. David Icke was once part of the establishment press, kind of like Tucker Carlson, right? Way back in the day, David Icke was part of the establishment media, and then he went rogue. So was his going rogue an operation? I mean, I think people say that about Russell Brand, and I think I don't say that that's a 100% true, but I think that is a legitimate question around what he has been doing. Russell Brand used to be part of the establishment media class, and then he went rogue, and then he became an independent truth teller, right? And just like they've tried to set Tucker Carlson up as this guy who's like, after years and years and years of absolutely hammering home, literally fascist Nazi propaganda for Fox News and other channels. I mean, he literally is, was, no different than, I don't know. He was just doing like seriously heavily racist and fascist and just, right-wing, super hyper right-wing propaganda. And then he suddenly became an independent truth teller. And now everybody's like, well, Tucker's right on. Okay. Well, I think David Icke was also on a morning show there, like doing the news or something like that for a while. At one time, I think I've seen clips of Icke like doing the news or being part of a very legit, quote unquote legit. Well, and then how do you know? Like, there's also the idea that somebody could go rogue and then haven't been, they've had a talking to, right? Somebody becomes a whistleblower, they go rogue, and then somebody pays them a visit and then says, "Hey, you're not going to get very far doing this. In fact, you're probably not going to leave the room today if you don't agree to what we want you to do." I'm sure that happens more often than not. You're not leaving the room until you agree, and from here on out, we know where your family lives, and you'll be doing what we ask. So, good luck out there. Yahoo News is takeaways from the millions of newly released Epstein files. This is from Yahoo News. Major photos appearing to show Prince Andrew on all fours over female. Hold on. I mean, I think they show, Trump and literally engaging in the acts that have been claimed that he engaged in. Really, the most disturbing ones are the ones about, ritual uh, sacrificing. I don't know. This is from a major news outlet, so this is not just for the algorithms out there and for the YouTuber, um, higher ups. This is from Yahoo News. I'm just reading it from Yahoo News. Okay. George H.W. Bush. Yep. Yep. Um, let's see. Trump mentioned hundreds of times. Oh, you know what? I don't know if this is gonna. Elon Musk and Epstein. Bill Gates was rumored to have, or not rumored, in the files, it was said that he got antibiotics from Epstein because he had gotten STDs from Russian prostitutes. And he got the antibiotics to secretly give to his then wife so that she would not get STDs. uh uh One email is written as a resignation letter from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and complains about having to procure medicine for Gates to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls. Gates had more claims about Gates having tried to cover up a sexually transmitted infection, including from his then wife, Melinda. Everybody's like, it's false. Okay then. I don't know if there's stuff in here about the really deep, darker stuff, but yeah. But these are the things that people are finding in the files. There's people are amazed and aghast that these things are actually coming out and saying like, wow, it's like they don't even care. Like they feel like they're not going to face any consequences anyway. So here comes all these files, and they probably won't unless remember the Lorax, unless we all go stand, in front of somebody's house or in front of the White House or in front of someplace, millions of people, and just go like, come, get out. You're coming out right now. You're coming with us, which is, I'm sure, is what they're afraid of. We could do that though. We could. Jimmy Savile's connection to the BBC media and Royals and the Windsors. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Jimmy Savile was. He's a good friend to King Charles and Diana for some time, which makes you wonder. They knew they were probably doing it too, I'm sure. Hold on one second, people. I'm sorry guys, I'm not looking at the Substack chat, and that's my bad. Are we on Substack? Are we live? Hello? Okay, we are live on Substack. People are watching on Substack. I apologize, I completely forgot about checking into Substack. We are live on Odyssey too. If you're watching on Odyssey, thank you. Like it up. Yeah, just disturbing stuff that people have found in there. Hold on a second. I've seen plenty of posts. People bringing back. If you remember this clip about Gabriela Rico Jimenez screaming about how they ate humans and stuff like that before she disappeared. The references, to spirit cooking, right? That was all up in the Zizagate files. Let's see. What is this? This is about an interview with a victim, Epstein victim. Something about, I think this is about Bush. I don't know if I can read this. Or are they talking about both Bushes, senior and junior? Oh, they're talking about really crazy stuff there. Okay. I'm not going to read that, but it kind of it was along the lines of what Extra Bullet was talking about. The adrenochrome stories have more weight to them. Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, that's real. That's been long known to be a thing. Well, this goes back a long way. There's also the Franklin scandal, the Boys Town scandal. And there was, there documented evidence and testimony from the victims saying, hey, this is what we did. We went to Washington, D.C. We were party favors to the rich and famous and everybody that you know and see on TV in Congress and etc. And they shut that whole thing down. They shut that whole investigation. In fact, they killed one of the investigators. So the lead investigator. Yeah. So it's all basically true. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Like, are we going to do something about this? Do you feel like you can? Do you feel like they're too entrenched? Do you feel like we have the power? Do you feel like, hey, if we all listen, if a couple of million people start walking towards Washington, several million, there are 350 million of general population. And what, a few thousand of them, they do control the military. But I would imagine if enough people got out there, a lot of people in the military would be like, I'm good. I don't need to be a part of this too. Like I'm all right. Yeah. Yeah, Chuck. Yeah, that's been out there. Yep. Yeah, guys. Only the best of people. Yeah, so all this stuff came out and everybody's horrified, and I guess we have more proof. Well, I suppose but we've had proof before and nothing ever happened. And now we have proof now, and it's kind of like, well, haha, what are you going to do? Haha. They're literally daring. We're at the point now where the people in charge are literally just daring us to do something, because I kind of feel like they know that we won't. Yeah. I feel like that's, yeah, Grape and Time. I feel like that's right. If we stop participating, general strike, stop buying and selling for a few weeks, get a whole bunch of people up, in front of the White House, saying we're not leaving until this maniac in the White House does. Pretty much everyone. That's the thing, is like, in the same way that Epstein is the focus, there are people that are in charge of Epstein. There are people above Epstein. There are other people involved in the whole planning of whatever's going on. Trump is just a focal point for people, right? And I feel like if in some way, and this probably will work, and they know this, if you get rid of Trump, a lot of people will go, whew, things got to get better now because that maniac is gone. They think that Trump is somehow the dude in control of everything, which is not it at all. Like, if just Trump goes and everybody else stays, nothing changed at all. It's not about getting rid of Trump. I mean, yeah, you want to get rid of Trump, but Trump is he's just a marionette for the people, the people that are behind him, the Teals, the Carps, the Andreessens, the Musks, and then there's people behind them. Yeah, I agree. Grape in town, I agree. Stay home. Don't participate. Don't pay taxes. Don't do nothing. Good luck. Kate is on Odyssey. Tom Hartman said adrenochrome is a fake thing. Did he now? That sounds like something Tom would say. Tom's just a good, upstanding citizen. He believes that people are just basically good people, and those stories are crazy. Watch it before it ends. Says, hold on, I'm getting something from someone. What is this? Oh, it's still live. I'm in the middle of a show. Tom Hartman said adrenochrome was made up by Hunter S. Thompson. So there's that. Yeah, Tom Hartman. He still has a lot of listeners, though, right? What sucks to me, we're gonna talk about Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, and this is where things start to get like this. Worst things, the problem with media is there's so many layers of like psyop on psyop on psyop, right? Like Don Lemon getting arrested. A lot of people felt like was a bridge too far, and you're arresting journalists, and Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, and a bunch of other people were arrested for being part of they all went to a church to kind of disrupt a church service because the pastor of the church was involved with backing ICE, right? So they went to kind of like confront him, and a bunch of people that were involved in this got arrested. Don Lemon was there, just observing and taking footage. But Don Lemon once worked for CNN. Don Lemon was once one of the, again, you have these guys that are part of mainstream media. Don Lemon was one of the narrative management team for Team Left, right? Rachel Maddow. People are still posting things from Rachel Maddow like every day. I'm like, do you know that this lady is on narrative management for Team Left? Like, she is. If she's not CIA, I don't know. I feel like they're all CIA connected, right? Anderson Cooper, CIA. Tucker Carlson, CIA. Rachel Maddow, probably CIA. All these people are narrative management, and then people put their stuff out there like, oh yeah, tell it like it is. It's the truth. Okay, I mean, they might be saying real things and true things, but these people have been on the payroll or are on the payroll of very bad people. So they're doing, this is just pressure release, and also getting you to like them, to say, well, this person on CNN is telling the truth. I'm going to watch CNN because I believe what, meanwhile, they're telling you, they're, filling in the truth with the lies and the lies with the truth. And you don't know really what is going on. All these people supported vaccines, which Trump supported too. which is like, when everybody's got these narratives about vaccine, believe the science, or you're crazy conspiracy theorist, or you're a lunatic lefty, or right, and they all kind of operate in league with scrambling everybody's brain so that nobody knows what is real. So it's bizarre to me. Like, yeah, it's weird. Don Lemon got arrested, but I also immediately was like, oh, he did? What does that mean? Was that a show? Was that some kind of something? Was he really arrested? Was he really in danger? Or was he never in danger? They were just like, we're going to arrest you. Yeah, just, play along, because we're going to need you later, Don. It's hard, it is hard to know who to trust. It's hard to know. But I believe, though, aside from Don Lemon, I believe that, the other activists there, Georgia Fort, and I don't know all of their names, but there were several, 4 or 5, that were just on the ground activists, were also arrested. I believe most were released. Some are still in jail. Is Georgia Fort still in jail? I don't know. I heard that they were released because they didn't have any evidence or reason for detaining them. So I'm not sure if she is still in jail. Meanwhile, here it is. I mean, this is frightening, right? Because they're just arresting people who are reporting on the overreaches by the Trump administration, and they're trying to silence the media. They're trying to squash media. They're trying to squash independent journalism. They're literally killing independent observers, right? Renee Good, Alex Preddy. They're literally just, and Alex Preddy looks like that was absolutely premeditated, like they went after him because he had a confrontation with them a few days before and they were pissed. And so they targeted him. By all accounts, it looks like they targeted him. So they want to squash journalists. They want to get people scared to talk about these things. They want, and if they can extend it. What's up? How you doing, Joseph? Controlled op, yeah. Don is like Mehdi Hassan to me. They're infiltrating the independent media spaces in my, yeah. So Don, I mean, that's how I look at Don Lemon. Don Lemon is, who else? Cuomo. What's his face? Is it not Andrew, but the other Cuomo? Is now an independent journalist. So you have Cuomo, you have Carlson, you have all these people that used to be mainstream media people. Don Lemon, they're out there. They were controlling the narrative from either side of the aisle, and now they're all independent. Like bullshit. I don't trust them. I do not trust any of those folks. Hell no. You said good day. I say good day unto thee. What's your prediction, Creative? What do you think is going down? What do you think is going down in February? Just a few other. I'm skipping around here. Trump is threatening Iran, but they're also talking. But a lot of people are. This is definitely a distraction from other things that are going on. The saber rattling is all about the dollar falling. Well, yeah. I don't, whether it's going to be controlled or not. I feel like they've got to do a pressure release on the debt and on, it's been like 20 years or more, almost 20 years since the Great Recession, when they were just doing QE and printing money for years and years. And things have just been getting steadily worse since then. So Creative says stock crash, war with Iran, more Epstein files, more layoffs. I mean, I won't contradict you there. I see the stock crash as imminent. I do. When the silver thing was playing out, and it's still playing out, but when the silver was running to over 100, I was like, whoa, this is bad. This is a harbinger of doom right here. So the other harbinger of doom that a lot of people aren't talking about, because they have very, very successfully destroyed climate change as a topic that people can talk seriously about. And I blame the elites as much as I blame anybody else, but because the people that took climate change and ran with it as a business idea, as a way to sell you, electric cars and new stoves, and everything else they could think of to turn climate change into a $1 trillion business. Those people really helped to destroy people's actual concern with the environment, and they destroyed the ability for people to have nuanced, in-depth discussions about what it is we're actually doing and what needs to be done. And now we're screwed. Now we're absolutely screwed. And so they've destroyed the whole topic of climate change. And while that's happened, climate change is actually, I feel like, escalating. And, is obviously in the last 3 years, the actual global temperature has gone up past the 1.5 mark, which should be, if people were well versed on climate change, this should be the point at which everybody's like really panicky and really trying to figure out, like, well, now what do we do? But because they've destroyed it as a topic, like, nobody's talking about it at all, which is crazy making. Real quick, why is this my last Substack post? This is from Thomas Dunn. I've been putting off writing this for months. Every time I sit down to begin, I find another task that suddenly seems urgent, or a streaming series that needs to be watched. But the truth is, I've been avoiding this because it's painful to reckon with the fact that the work I've been doing for the last several years has been rendered more or less moot. For those who have been following along, I've been writing a book about how to reverse climate change and build a new collaborative economy. I approach this work with exhaustive research and what I thought to be a workable plan. I truly believe that if we could get the framework right, if we could show people a viable path forward, we could turn the ship around. However, I knew that the window for meaningful action was shrinking. And let's be honest, the window slammed shut the day that Donald Trump was elected again to be POTUS. So my continued research has led me to an inescapable conclusion: we're too late. Things have progressed too far to stop some of the worst impacts of climate change. The data is clear, even if most of us aren't ready to hear it. We've already crossed several critical tipping points. The feedback loops are engaged. Global societal collapse isn't a possibility we can avoid through better policy or technological innovation. It's inevitable, and it's coming within the next decade, which is why they want to lock everything down by 2030, because that will be when things have unraveled to the point where it's going to be real dicey, growing food at scale, conducting businesses as usual at scale, right? It's gonna be bad enough within the next decade that the people with some amount of resources might be able to somewhat stave off what's going to come. But for the people with no resources or no safety net, or who are in everybody's susceptible. Like, there is no safe zone. You're just gonna have to wing it. And people are gonna be running around trying to figure out how to avoid, we're going to be going from disaster to disaster to disaster, and people are just going to be figuring out how to survive, whatever it might be. Right now we've had back-to-back polar vortexes, and which have actually garnered very little coverage. I feel like they're not, because everything is so loud, from ice to Epstein to war, it's so loud that it's actually like obliterated people's acknowledgement that like, well, back-to-back polar vortexes over, several weeks and probably another week of it. That's pretty weird and also unsustainable if people have to keep heating their homes. It's -2 for several weeks in a row. Like, 2045, it'll be interesting, hot, and we will reach 10 billion that year. We won't reach 10 billion. I've always said there's no way. If we reach 10 billion, I really doubt it. That will be there. We've already reached the point where I feel like we've reached the top of the population chart. Population is going to start going down as things become harder, exponentially harder for people to actually live. When I drive around the city of Los Angeles and I see all the homeless people, what breaks my heart is that all these homeless people are basically dead people, because you can only survive on the street for so long, right? Unless you have services, a way to get out, a way to, like, when you are homeless, your chance of dying very quickly within the next couple of years goes way up, right? So I don't know what I'd like to know. I don't want to know because it's kind of a morbid curiosity, but I'd like to know what the statistics are on longevity of some, when people are homeless, like how long do they have to live before they succumb to whatever the elements, whatever it is, violence, starvation, etc., disease, drugs. How long do they have to live? So when this explosion of homeless people in Los Angeles is probably only curtailed by the fact that a lot of those people die. Like, imagine being a middle-class person and you can't afford the rent, you lost your job and you're completely screwed, you don't have any family. And I've seen plenty of these people who just look like regular ass people that are homeless, right? You lost your job, you don't have any family or resources or whatever, and there's no, and you're homeless. And like, your skills are like, getting a job and living in the corporate world or doing whatever it is, in the service industry, whatever it is you're doing. But do you have any like survival skills on the street? Probably not. I guess you're going to get them really quick. But it just, I just wonder about, the homeless population and how people are faring, if they're able to lift themselves out or no. Probably not. You have heard that Portugal is getting sick of American migrants moving there. Yeah, well, I want to move there, but so is Mexico. Mexico doesn't want Americans anymore. They're like pissed. They're like, nah, stay home, Yankee. We don't want you. Again, going back to Cliff High, long time ago, had a Webbot report that had several talking about the wall that they're building to keep people out eventually becomes something that keeps people in. And that more people will be migrating away from America than into America. Like, people will be wanting to get the hell out. Or maybe Spain. Malcolm, maybe I'll meet you in Spain. I would love to go to. I've been talking about destinations lately, and I'm thinking like, yeah, Spain, Portugal, yeah, South France. I don't know. Kamashwari Kate says that anyone talking about saving the environment and taking care of the ecosystems is now considered an eco-terrorist. Yeah. Or if you listen to any, not any, but a good portion of alternative media out there talk about people who care about the environment as, lunatics. They think that you love Klaus Schwab and that you want humans to die, and they call you whatever, Malthusian, like stuff like that. Like, I don't know if these people do it on purpose, and I'm not sure, and I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, but the damage that narrative is doing to people. I don't know. Makes me really sad. You're heading to the desert. Food shocks will cut population growth numbers. Yeah, I'm yeah. The dollar vigilante. Yeah, I've seen lots of it. I used to watch his stuff pretty regularly, but yeah, I know he's down there. He's in Mexico, right? Um, I don't know if he's it seems like a lot of those guys are kind of griftery, Grapentine, honestly, but he does have good information. That's the thing, that's the thing is like all, you don't know whether people are compromised or whether they're real or not, or whether they're coming from a real place or not. It's hard to know. So all you can really do is take in information, and if you think it's good information, then take it. Go with it. But I would not, put my faith in somebody as a podcaster, independent journalist, something. I wouldn't like say this person is totally real and like knows what they're doing and stuff. And like I just listen to them religiously and everything they say is gospel. No, I would never do that. I would never, not even Whitney Webb, not even the pillars of the alternative journalist world, where these people are just held in high esteem. I don't even I hold a certain percentage of skepticism around pretty much everybody. Because it is hard to get that popular. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's hard to get that popular without having some kind of pressure being put on you. And so I always wonder. Kate says U.S. 4 plaintiffs return to Supreme Court next week to ask for logging of Stanley Park to be put on hold. We are now being called radical activists on the AI explanation of, oh, wow. I believe it. You're asking for a pause on, that's it. Just a pause. Malcolm says, my focus is less about escaping the empire and more about running into the heart of climate change energy and using it to survive. And I wish you Godspeed on that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I was just having a discussion with somebody the other day. Where do you go? I don't know. There are options. Spain, Portugal, somewhere in South America, Costa Rica, Malaysia, maybe. I do feel like if you're the farther away you are from like, really built up civilization, Western style civilization, like the farther away you are, I feel like you're going to have a better chance, right? Like Mexico may or may not be good, but you can, when they introduce the biometric data thing, there was a big admittance to the idea that people just live out in the sticks in Mexico, and you're not really going to be able to push this on everybody because you just aren't going to have the infrastructure to really reach everybody. So I just think the more remote you are, the more you can get kind of away from civilization. And there's pretty much nowhere in the US that you can do that. I don't think there's, probably some places in the West, out in the hinterlands maybe, but it's a lot harder in the US, and surveillance here is just so dang high. But like if you can get to South America, somewhere deep in the boonies in South America, maybe somewhere in the forests, Africa. I didn't even think of Africa. Probably lots of places in Africa you can get to where the infrastructure isn't there to actually follow you or track you or, put you into the 15-minute city or whatever it is they're going to do. So I don't know. Thailand. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. I think I got to most of what I wanted to cover today. Kate says Hartman is very popular. I'm sure. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate you. I'll be back on Thursday at the regular time of noon. We're going to do noon again on Thursday. If you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to support. It's in the description box. All the links are there: Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, etc. And thank you guys for being here. You can also support on Patreon, on Substack, etc. You know the deal, and lots of you already support me, and I appreciate you. I did want to thank my Patreon supporters too. Thanks, Patreon supporters. You guys rock. I don't forget you. I won't forget you. If you support on Patreon, I really appreciate you. Okay, guys. If Uncle Red couldn't hide in Montana, then nobody is going to hide. Yeah, I think hiding in the U.S. is just not going to happen. I won't stand out in Africa. There's lots of white people in Africa, actually. Depends on where you are. There's lots of white people in South America. Probably South America may be easier, but you're talking about Ted Kaczynski, yeah. His brother gave him up. No, I don't know. His message was interesting, but his approach was also interesting. All right. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on Thursday. Until next time, beware the bear.